Well, hi, and welcome back to this special outdoor edition of PMAT Live. It's just so pretty today, I thought I'd come out here. I asked a while ago now if anybody had any questions they would like for me to answer, and somehow I got sidetracked and life happened, and I didn't get around to it until just now, so I want to try and get this up as soon as possible and answer these folks' questions for them. It's the least I can do. A friend, Diane, wrote on Facebook and asked if there was any way to keep frosting from melting in the hot, humid Carolina summers, especially for outdoor weddings and things like that. Anything that you're going to make with butter is just going to slide right off your cake. Unfortunately, that means both wonderful, airy European buttercreams as well as just your standard American buttercream frostings. I would suggest that you try cream cheese frosting. Cream cheese will hold its shape up until a couple of 100 degrees. So it might soften, but it should stay put. Cream cheese, I think, is probably going to be your best bet. It's tasty. It's a little unexpected. It is white, which is nice. Most people want a white wedding cake. So anyway, there you go. Cream cheese frosting. That is my answer. You can also try substituting a portion of your butter for some zero trans fat vegetable shortening, but then you're really sacrificing flavor. So to keep flavor and to keep your consistency and to keep it from melting all over everything, I vote cream cheese frosting. Alright, next question came from a friend, Elizabeth, online, and she wanted to know any tricks for making empanada dough. Well, I am not an empanada expert by any stretch, but I do know a thing or two about pie dough. I know that empanadas are relatively small, and they're like little hand pies. I'm a fan of a hand pie. Since you're going to be carrying it around, I would suggest you would err a little bit on the side of a sturdier dough rather than tender and flaky. And that's going to mean less kneading of the fat into the flour, because the more you mix the fat into the flour, the shorter those gluten strands are going to be, the more tender and the more fall apart your crust is going to be, which is great in some applications, but if you pick it up in your hand, you really want it to stay together. So I would say that you would want to make a sturdier dough, less mixing, leave the fat in larger pieces, perhaps also a little bit less fat than what a standard pie crust would be, and that way you get, when you add your liquid to it, you're going to be able to get some gluten development. It will help to keep your little empanada together when you pick it up in your hot little hand. So there's that question. Somebody asked me what my greatest pastry triumph is, what my greatest pastry nightmare was. I really wanted to just do pastry tips as opposed to, relate my life story, but real briefly, one of my biggest triumphs, I guess, was that the first time I made my own dessert for the restaurant, not just something that somebody told me to make, but I came up with my very own original dessert, presented it to the chef, and he adored it. It was a dessert panzanella. I made it with a lemon poppy seed pound cake cubes toasted, a mixture of stone fruits tossed in a minted lemon verbena simple syrup, which was kind of like the vinaigrette for the salad, and I made some sweet milk sorbet that played the part of the cheese. So that was my biggest triumph, my biggest failure or tragedy. I guess just in general, I would have to say that back when I made the stump cake, I'm not sure I've written about it a couple of times on the blog, turned out great. In the end, I was able to rescue the cake to, well, originally I wanted to make a bûche de Noël, and I just kept screwing it up and screwing it up and screwing it up, and I finally decided I'm just going to make a stump cake, and I used a method that was new to me in a cookbook. It was the two-stage method, as I know now, but it just didn't look right, and the cake rose all funny, and I ended up tossing that away. I just wasted an awful lot of food that night. Now, even if I had messed up making the first cake, I probably would have at least saved that cake and made a trifle or some sort of other kind of layered or molded dessert, so I wouldn't have wasted so much product. So looking back, that's pretty disappointing because I am a big fan of trying to use up everything that we have and have as little waste as possible. So those were the questions. Let me see if I have any other good tips for you right now. Oh, vodka in a pie crust. Excellent idea, because gluten does not form in the presence of alcohol. I mean, so you're going to add some liquid because you want some gluten to form, but if you want a tender, light crust, you substitute part of the water for a little bit of vodka. The alcohol more or less bakes off completely, leaves no flavor behind. So that's a good tip. I think I might have already said this at some other point, but if you have popover batter and for some reason you have a little left over, you can make crepes with it. If you have crepe batter and you have some left over, you can make popovers with it. It's almost exactly the same batter. It's just a difference in the way you cook it. Of course, with crepes, you're going to go in a really pretty hot non-stick pan and get it as thin as you possibly can. Cook it for maybe 45 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other side, and you're done. For popovers, you're going to put it in a blisteringly hot oven. A lot of fat in the bottom of your muffin tin or your popover pan. Pour a little batter in there, and just all of that liquid just forces the batter up and it makes a pretty impressive display. So, good tip there. Popovers, crepes, almost the same thing. It's just another example of how your cooking technique can give you vastly different results. And I think that is it for right now. So if anybody has any more questions, please just post them in the comments, or you can always write to me via email, onlinepastrychef@yahoo.com. You can also find me on Twitter I'm at onlinepastrychf on Twitter, or on Facebook. I'll put all those links down at the bottom of the video. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.